All right, let's bring Sarah on. Speaking of MILFs, look at that. I was kind of hoping you would have the full clown outfit on still.
Well, I didn't want to go all out. I mean, gotta keep some things for later.
Yeah. All right, Troy meets Sarah. Sarah meets Troy. Sarah's also an up and coming content creator. She does a lot of parody type of shit. She's a regular on my show. But yeah, so I thought it'd be fun for you guys to go on like a 5-minute speed date, do a little demonstration, and then we can talk about it. Yeah, you guys both ready?
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Cool. I'll take myself off then, not to cock block. I'll put down 5 minutes and then I'll come back.
Hello.
Hey, Sarah. I'm Troy. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Troy?
I'm very good. So it says Sarah the Raging Tomato. What's the meaning behind that?
Well, I usually get red on screen, and so somebody had made fun of me for it and called me the Raging Tomato, and I was like, that sounds good. I'm going with it. So
nice.
Yep.
It's always good with these to own these things, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's like, people try and throw stuff at you, and it's always, if you could just own it and take it back, take the power out of it.
I own every bit of it. I'm a, single mom Maxine. I'm 35 Maxine, hit the wall Maxine, all of it. I go with it.
Don't be ridiculous. It's funny how this word maxing, it's funny how maxing is applied to everything these days, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I use it in everyday language. I have to stop myself when I'm at work because I'm like, I know that nobody knows what I'm saying when I say that. So I need to make sure I don't say it.
Are you coffee maxing there?
I'm coffee maxing. Hello.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Is it an Americano or have you gone for a...
this is mocha flavor.
Oh, nice.
So,
fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, you've known Alex for a while then, right? So how did you first get into contact with him? What was the story behind that?
My friend Ashley, her and I started streaming, and she had gone on Alex's show because she wanted to debate him. And then come to find out, she actually didn't disagree with anything he said. He pretty much changed her mind. And so she became pretty cool with him. And then she kept telling me, she's like, you got to go watch his shows, So I watched one night, and it was the speed dating, and I was like, holy crap, this would be so fun. You have to tell Alex, we should come on. This would be so exciting. Yeah. So we both went on one night together, and then now I'm like a veteran speed dater for him. I usually get the last minute phone call when other girls don't show up, and so yeah, it works.
And what is it about the speed dating that you enjoy?
Well, I mean, number one, it's fun to do. I always enjoy the conversations with the gentlemen. They're I know that some of them are here to really try their best and see what they can do. So helping them, and I feel like I give pretty fair feedback. But and then number two, you do get more exposure. Every time I go on, my name is on the screen, so that's a bonus. And I only just started my channel just over a month ago, but otherwise I was streaming with Ashley before that. But number three, I know Alex, needs girls to do this. So if somebody doesn't show up and has a thing planned, I know it helps him out. So I typically I try not to say no if he asks me. Yeah,
that's cool. So it's for the sake of helping people a lot. So it seems like you're quite an empathetic person. You actually like to sort of go out there and help people. That's
absolutely. It's a very giving situation, I think. But I know in the end, I'm sure I'll benefit in some way. But overall, I feel like more people are gaining than I am. So it's a good thing.
And so your channel, you said it's been up and running for about a month. So what kind of things do you cover?
I do the news of the Manosphere. So I basically take what content creators say and do kind of in the Manosphere realm, and I take the context purposefully out of context. So I parody it. It's very satire, very funny. There's always a spin on words of what people are saying. I just had a premiere tonight that was just poking fun at things that people say. And even if it comes down to making fun of myself, it works. I like it.
Nice. And what made you decide to go into that? Have you always had this interest in sort of because this is obviously kind of stuff aimed at...
Not at all.
Were you just bored one night and you're just like, oh, sod it.
So I started streaming with my friend Ashley. She had me come on technically her second episode. And we had to film first, and then she would cut it and upload it. And so it went really well, and she really liked, because we've been friends since we were, I don't know, like I was 19 years old when I met her. I'm 35 now. So we've been friends for a long time. So our chemistry on screen is very good. So she started, like we just kept going every week, and then it turned into live streams. Then it turned into going on other streams. Then it turned into this big whole thing. And then I was like, you know what? I think I want to do something of my own now. Like, cause like I should be doing something on my own at this point. And I'm like thinking, what does the Manosphere not have? And what it doesn't have is basically a news channel, but it's more like the SNL, like, you know, Weekend Update. Yeah. So
good stuff. And can I just say, I would never have guessed that you are 35.
Oh, thank you.
That's okay. It's okay.
Thank you.
It's interesting, really. I think there's a lot more women who are sort of drawn to this space now, and I think it's a really healthy thing, right? Because ultimately, like what are we talking about here? We're talking about the way that men and women interrelate to one another. We're talking about the way that men and women interact with each other. Okay, and it shouldn't just be men talking to an audience of men, and it's just this hermetically sealed echo chamber, right? We should be bringing women into the conversation as well, I think,
like a feedback.
Well, just and like, look, I mean,
well, like you can bounce things back and forth off of each other. And I've had a lot of people ask me to come on their streams, mainly for the female perspective. You know, and I can only give mine, like, and based on my experiences. But at the end of the day, I think it's beneficial for men to kind of pull that in a little bit. I don't think a lot, but I think definitely having another female say, well, like, yeah, this is this and that's that, but are you really looking at the, you know, blah, 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 blah. But I mean, I think it's just so fun. I didn't even know I was in the Manosphere until like a few months later, when I like realized like, oh, I'm part of this. This is cool.
Nice.
But I mean, the men, I think there's a lot of great advice out there. There's a lot of different people I like to listen to. And for a female, it's actually beneficial on our end too. Like I'm listening to this and being in the dating world. Like I can pick up on things a lot quicker in terms of when a guy's saying something or doing something, and based off what I've listened to, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I get it. So it's helpful in all directions, I think.
No, that's cool. That's cool. And so in your own personal life, obviously attached or unattached, I mean, you're on this wonderful speed date now, so I'm assuming the latter, but
well, I guess I'll be locked down here pretty soon, huh? No, I am divorced.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's
okay.
Just now kind of getting back into the market a little bit. Not really looking to tie down, but just kind of, it's almost like keeping your resume refreshed and you know, going. You don't want it to kind of go stagnant. So I want to kind of stay in the dating market, you know, keep up with what's going on in it and everything like that.
Absolutely. And what kind of guys tickle your fancy? Debonair English guys with cut glass, royal family style accents?
I'm not really specific. I do like the intellectual, the ones who can have a conversation a little more beyond surface level. So like what you're doing right now would be tickling my fancy per se. I don't really have like a type of guy. I feel like I like body style. That's a question that a lot of guys ask, and I don't feel like I've been anywhere from dad bods to like, you know, meathead kind of things. But I think what really gets to me is the ability to laugh at yourself, and then also the ability to have a really positive intellectual conversation. Yeah,
definitely. I think that's true for me as well. And I mean, the thing is, there's this perception that guys only go for looks, and there's truth in that because we are very visually driven and everything else. But at the same time, the women who in the past who I've dated and I've had, you know, I've really got on with, and the sort of relationships I like to get into is with women where I can really sit down and like talk, and we can really get into a discussion about something, and really the sparks can start to fly, if that makes sense. You want that kind of intellectual stimulation, don't you?
Absolutely. And I feel like you can actually get on a more intimate level when you get into the intellectual depths of things. You start to understand somebody, and, you know, you're reaching a little bit more into like their soul and who they are and what they really think about life and things around it. So
yeah, for sure. Have you ever been on one of those dates where you go out and you guys, you know, you maybe just plan to meet up for a couple of drinks, and then you just end up talking into the night, and it's like really hit something, you know?
Yes, like for hours on end, and then you know you look at the clock and you realize, oh my God, it's been 5 hours. What just happened? Absolutely, and those are my favorite ones. Like those really are, you know, I'd take that over, you know, a fancy dinner somewhere.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. I think that you could go to nice places and that's great, but ultimately sometimes you just meet somebody and there's that kind of that spark, there's that kind of interconnection. You can look into their eyes, you can just see, and there's on some level you're connecting, and then that sort of intellectual connection can lead then to the more sort of neatly towards the physical. That makes sense.
Absolutely.
You know, it's just a more easy transition.
Well, and you develop a better comfort level with them as well, you know, because you sit and you've likely exposed some type of vulnerabilities based on conversation, not necessarily like, oh, I have this terrible story that happened to me when I was whatever years old, but more on the level of like, you can kind of see more into somebody when you get to know what's really, you know, ticking in their brain.
Yeah, for sure. Whereabouts in the States are you based?
I'm in Maryland.
Oh, okay.
All right. I'll let this run quite a lot longer, but I thought it was you guys seem to be really getting along, so I don't want a cock block. Yeah, cool. All right, so Troy is new to the format, but you know the deal, Sarah. So the question I always ask is, would you, if you were in the same city as Troy, go on a date with him?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, there we go.
Thank you.
Got the W, Troy. Got the W. That's all that matters.
I would as well.
What? Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about his game or his style? Is there anything that you like or didn't like?
Well, I mean, he actually like hit exactly what we were talking about. You know, like we could have a very mature, intellectual conversation. It wasn't like I'm a big fan of their flirtation. Like I've spoken to that before, but in this aspect, it was on a more serious note, but it was still a very flattering conversation because he was doing exactly what I asked in that aspect.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I always say this, like there's different types of game. I don't think one is better than the other. Obviously, Troy's game is quite different than mine, but I don't think that makes it better or worse. It's just different, right? Some people a little bit more, let's just say like kind of like deep type of conversations, and some people like me, which make a bunch of dick jokes.
Right.
They both have their merit.
But also keep in mind,
I like dick jokes as well.
But keeping in mind, like, you know, I'm 35, he's in his 40s. So like in that age range, these are conversations that our age group is more likely going to enjoy versus like if I was talking to a 25-year-old, it'd be very, very different. And I wouldn't expect that intellectual level from Troy. Or I'm sorry, from somebody that was 25.
Yeah, from Troy. I didn't expect Troy to like actually have a brain.
I didn't expect him to.
What I try to do in a real life face-to-face day is I that is fairly representative. I will do that sort of conversation, but I'll also because you will bring in a little bit of physicality and maybe a little bit of touching here and there, and that probably allows a little bit more of the not dick jokes exactly, but a little bit more of the sort of cheekier side of things, which I think it is good to. I think it's good to sort of intersperse the two, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Obviously, in this situation, it's slightly more like separated because of the online aspect, but yeah, I think I like to do a little bit of both. So you bring in that cheeky flirtiness, but also you're getting the depth as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think had it gone longer, Alex, you probably would have gotten into the more flattery scenario from there.
Well, I guess we'll never know unless you guys meet up in video. But yeah, cool, awesome. Thanks for coming on, Sarah.
You're welcome. Boys,
guys, check out Sarah dropped a funny video today. She's dressed up real sexy. Already masturbated to at least 5 times, so check it out. Our channel, Sarah the Raging Tomato. It's pretty funny stuff. Good stuff. Check it out. Show Sarah some support for being regular on the channel. Subscribe to our channel too.
Thanks, awesome. Guys. Have a good night.
Good to meet you.